Alicia. When she was at her poorest, I would transfer 520 to her every night, a number that symbolizes love. She accepted my money but never my feelings. Later, she achieved fame and success, and I turned to dust and bones. At a class reunion, someone urged her to marry her true love soon. She sneered, "There's no such thing as true love. Even if there was, he's long dead." The next second, she received the news of my murder. Chapter 1. When the doorbell rang, Alicia was in the middle of breaking up with her 8th boyfriend. She impatiently said, "Don't call me again." Then she went to open the door. Seeing that it was my mother outside, she was momentarily stunned, and then her expression turned even darker. "I told you, Albert is not here." My mom awkwardly smiled, her eyes filled with humility. "I know, but only you can find Albert. Could you please talk to him and ask him to come home? I haven't seen him in so long." "Alicia, I can't find him, and don't come bothering me again." With that, she forcefully slammed the door. If my mom hadn't instinctively stepped back, the door might have hit her in the face. My mom stood outside, refusing to leave, persistently knocking on the door. Alicia sat on the leather sofa inside, her expression even darker than the night outside. Through the floor-to-ceiling window, you could see the snow starting to fall gently outside. It was also snowing the night I was murdered 3 years ago. Chapter 2. Before I died, I was in the middle of transferring money to Alicia. The robber took my phone and looked through my chat history with Alicia. He mocked me. "A simp. Huh? You've sent her so much money, and she didn't even reply. Might as well have given it to me." I was barely breathing, struggling with my last breath, too weak to argue with him. But I was indeed a simp. I simped for Alicia for 8 months and ended up with nothing, lost my life. Even if it weren't for trying to surprise her tonight, I wouldn't have taken this shortcut and wouldn't have encountered the robber. After forcing the password out of me, he stabbed me 8 times, each one fatal. In my final moments, I was still worried. How would Alicia manage without money? Chapter 3. My soul slept for more than a year. When I awoke, everything had changed beyond recognition. Alicia had become successful and no longer had to endure my nightly harassment for a ridiculous 520. I followed her around, watching as she changed boyfriends one after another. They were all handsome, at least more handsome than me. I really wanted to ask Alicia, "Did you refuse me before because I wasn't handsome enough?" But she couldn't hear my voice, not even when I called her a heartless woman. I kept wondering when Alicia would finally know that I was dead. Maybe she would never know. Not in this lifetime. If my mom hadn't come looking for her today, she probably wouldn't have thought of me at all. She has an old phone that she always keeps under her pillow, checking it every time she gets up at night to use the bathroom. I've never seen her turn it on, so I have no idea what's stored in it. All I know is that when I was pursuing her 3 years ago, she was still single, but I've heard she had an unforgettable first love. I guess whatever's treasured in that phone must be related to her true love, and has nothing to do with me. Chapter 4. My mom was eventually taken home by my dad. As they walked away, they murmured to each other, "Does she really not know where Albert is?" But Albert liked her so much. How could he not come to find her? Maybe Albert was heartbroken. "You should stop bothering her." "But I really miss Albert. He hasn't come home in 3 years," my mom said, her voice cracking with tears. My dad was also very sad, wiping her tears and reluctantly looking back one last time. As they walked farther and farther away, I couldn't hear what they were saying anymore. I really wanted to go home with them, but I couldn't. Since I woke up, I've only been able to stay close to Alicia, no more than 5 meters away. Any farther, and I can't move. There's an invisible barrier around me, always firmly blocking me. I miss my parents too, but I can only see them briefly when they come to find Alicia. I failed them. Chapter 5. Alicia, besides work and social events, occasionally meets up with old classmates. Most of them are women, with 2 men mixed in. I guess the cool, handsome guy is Alicia's unforgettable first love. The way he looks at her is full of affection. At every reunion, they sit together. In the year I've been following Alicia, I've never seen her get this close to any man. An old classmate teased, "President Lou, when are you going to marry Luis? He's been waiting for you for 3 years. If he waits any longer, he'll be an old bachelor." That's right. Our President Lou is already successful in her career. It's time to find a man to keep her warm. Alicia let them tease her without saying a word, until someone asked, "Isn't President Lou's true love our Luis?" Alicia sneered, "What's true love? Even if there was, he's long dead." As soon as she finished speaking, her phone rang. Chapter 6. The men who robbed and killed me 3 years ago recently committed another crime. After the police arrested him, they uncovered the details of my death. They notified my parents. Then, my parents called Alicia. "We're sorry. Albert has been gone for a long time. We apologize for bothering you so many times before and causing you trouble." My mom couldn't stop crying after she said this. I could hear my dad quietly comforting her, but his voice was choked with tears too. It felt like my heart was being cut with a knife. Turns out, Even as a soul, I can still feel heartache. I looked at Alicia and saw that she was completely frozen. The others in the room noticed something was wrong and turned to look at her. Alicia, what's wrong? Luis asked softly, his eyes full of concern. Alicia was pulled out of her thoughts by his voice and suddenly stood up. Her abrupt movement startled everyone else. What's wrong? Alicia ignored their questions, didn't even grab her coat, and rushed out the door. Usually, when I follow her, I'm pretty laid back, but today, with her moving so fast, I had no choice but to keep up. At one point, she even bumped into a waiter but didn't even glance back, just kept running. The waiter angrily muttered under his breath, "No manners." I nodded in agreement. Chapter 7. Fortunately, Alicia didn't drink at the party. Southwest she could still drive herself. She usually drives very steadily, but today she was reckless, as if the road belonged to her and everyone else had to get out of the way. When she arrived at my house, my mom was already sobbing uncontrollably, slumped on the couch, and my dad's eyes were red. He's a very strong-willed man. When I was alive, I never saw him so vulnerable. During my rebellious teenage years, I even doubted whether my dad loved me. Why else would he be so harsh with me all the time? But now, seeing him bent over, his expression filled with grief because I'm no longer here, I finally understood that he loved me deeply. Alicia stood in front of them, her voice sounding different than usual, as if she was hiding some emotion. What happened? What about Albert? My mom couldn't bear to hear my name now. She was already heartbroken, and hearing it made her burst into tears again. It was my dad, his voice hoarse and trembling, who explained to Alicia, "This morning, we were called to the police station. They found Albert's remains and have confirmed his identity. Albert, he was killed 3 years ago." When exactly 3 years ago? My dad was too grief-stricken to speak, so he just handed her the items the police had brought back. Alicia quickly took them, carefully reading every word. It was only at this moment that I learned that after I died, the robber used my phone to create the illusion that I was still alive for my parents and Alicia, for a whole 6 months. In his last message to Alicia, he was cruel. "You're such a greedy, lustful woman. It's disgusting. I've found someone obedient. Goodbye." Then he deleted Alicia from my WeChat. So, did Alicia think that I had moved on and found someone else? A thin sheet of paper detailed everything the murderer had done in the 6 months after my death. My parents and Alicia had been completely deceived. Later, the murderer thought enough time had passed, and all the clues were gone, so he threw away my phone and stopped caring. It was only after that my parents reported me missing. But too much time had passed, and the murderer was highly skilled at evading detection, so it wasn't easy for the police to find him. And so, it dragged on for 3 years. Even if you subtract the first 6 months, in the following 2.5 years, Alicia never thought to look for me, not even once. So now, what is this immense grief she's showing in the face of my death? Did she forget that she's already had 8 boyfriends? Chapter 8. And then there's Luis. Just as I thought of him, he called Alicia. "Alicia, where are you? You left your coat behind. Shall I bring it over?" Alicia's voice was cold. "No need. Just keep it for now. I'll get it next time." Luis wanted to say more, but she had already hung up. She then glanced at my parents, as if wanting to say something but holding back. My dad also looked up at her, holding back tears as he slowly said, "We're going to hold a memorial service for Albert in a few days. If you have time, please come to say goodbye to him." Alicia said nothing. My dad added, "We won't keep you any longer. You should go home and rest." With that, he lowered his head again to comfort my mom. The 2 elderly people leaning on each other made for a very sorrowful scene. I didn't want to leave. I wanted to stay with them, even if they didn't know I was here. So I asked Alicia, "Can you stay a bit longer?" But she had already turned away. "Alicia, don't go." She still couldn't hear me. As the door opened and closed, she was already gone. I tried to stay where I was, but the invisible barrier eventually pulled me out. "Dad, Mom." My voice turned into a faint breeze, brushing past my parents' ears, but they didn't even notice. Alicia went home. Before she even got out of the car, I saw Luis waiting at her door. "Alicia." Luis hurried to meet her. Seeing her pale face, he asked with concern, "What happened? You left so quickly that you forgot your coat." I thought he would hand the coat to Alicia, but he didn't. Clearly, he was waiting for Alicia to invite him in. But Alicia suddenly took out a cigarette, lighting it in front of him. Luis was stunned. I was a bit shocked too, because Alicia doesn't normally smoke, even at social gatherings. Unless she was dealing with someone important and needed to set the right mood, she would rarely touch a cigarette. What was going on today? Was she losing control because of my death? I floated in the air, mocking Alicia. "You ignored me when I was your simp for so long, and now that you know I'm dead, you suddenly love me." She frowned deeply, finishing one cigarette, then irritably pulled out another. At that moment, Luis grabbed her hand. "Alicia, what's going on? You can talk to me after all these years. Don't you know how I feel about you?" Alicia looked up, staring at him without blinking. Were they about to confess their feelings to each other? What timing, right after news of my death. They were going to express their love. I wanted to float back into the house. Even though I couldn't go far, moving 5 meters away would be enough. I didn't want to watch them confess and then embrace each other right in front of me. 3 years ago, I only pursued Alicia for 8 months. But in truth, my feelings for her began long before that. If Alicia wasn't a fool, she should have sensed it long ago. But she never accepted me. Even after taking so much money from me, she never spoke kindly to me. Now that she's successful, choosing someone handsome, someone she likes, seems only natural. But still, it makes me sad. An uncontrollable sadness. I wanted to float back to my parents, to be with them. Just as I turned away, Alicia's voice reached me. Chapter 9. Luis. After all these years, you should know how I feel about you. A flash of panic crossed Luis's eyes, but he stubbornly refused to admit it. I don't understand. I don't like you. Alicia spoke each word clearly. Luis was stunned. I was stunned too. If she doesn't like him, then who is her true love? It can't possibly be me, can it? Alicia left Luis and went back inside alone, not even taking her coat. Once inside, she walked straight to the bedroom, pulled out the old phone from under her pillow, and plugged it into charge. She finally turned the phone on. I never expected that the lock screen wallpaper would be my picture. Alicia kept staring at the phone but didn't unlock it. She bowed her head, the light casting a shadow over her face, completely hiding her expression. I couldn't see her face, but the tense lines on the side made me guess that she was in some emotional turmoil. Could she really be sad because of me? I couldn't believe it, and I was still curious about the contents of the phone. But Alicia suddenly pressed the phone to her chest, slowly lying down on the bed. She buried her face completely in the pillow, her shoulders shaking slightly. Are you crying? I asked, shocked, but she couldn't hear my voice, and of course, she didn't answer. Later, Alicia fell asleep, and for the first time since my death, I entered her dreams. Even though I've been with her every day, suddenly, she could see me too. And I felt a bittersweet sense of long time no see. Alicia stared at me, not blinking once. Suddenly, she smiled. I didn't know why she was smiling, only that she slowly approached me and then opened her arms to hug me. Albert. Her voice was filled with cautious joy, as if regaining something lost. You came back, didn't you? I knew you would come back. Why would I come back? To find me. Why would I come back to find you? Because you love me. You see, Alicia always knew that I loved her. In the dream, we could talk freely. So I asked her, do you love me? Alicia nodded. Then I smiled too, smiling so hard that tears fell. I had prayed countless times that she would love me, but when she finally admitted it, I couldn't believe it. Is love ignoring someone for 2.5 years without searching for them? Is love having 8 boyfriends? Is love being entangled with Luis for years? When I loved her, even though she never responded to me, I never thought of looking for someone else. Love should be singular and loyal. I finally got the answer I had always wanted. But it seemed that I no longer cared as much. What I wanted most now was to be able to leave Alicia's side. I wanted to go back and see my parents. I was very worried about them. Chapter 10. Originally, I planned to ask Alicia in the dream to go to my house. But before I could speak, Alicia was awakened by the sound of her phone ringing. The dream was gone, and I could no longer talk to her. It was Luis again. He said on the phone, Alicia, I was in a car accident. Alicia asked, where are you? Luis gave an address, which was not far from Alicia's house. Alicia rushed over and saw Luis sitting in the snow. When Alicia approached, he suddenly stood up and hugged her tightly, so tightly that it hurt her. Alicia, thank you. I thought you wouldn't come. He was so emotional, as if he was holding on to the last hope of his life. I really didn't want to watch this scene. It made my past self look ridiculous, and it also made what Alicia said in the dream just now seem ridiculous. But I couldn't leave. I was forcefully dragged along with them to the hospital. Luis had hit his head and suffered a mild concussion. After examining the scans, the doctor said it wasn't serious and left it up to them whether to stay at the hospital for observation or go home. Luis requested to stay at the hospital and begged Alicia, Alicia, my family isn't here. Can you stay and take care of me? Alicia frowned, as if she was thinking. A few seconds later, she nodded and agreed. Me? Wasn't she just crying over my death? Didn't she say she didn't like Luis? So what is this now? Indeed, women are heartless. Just as I finished complaining, Alicia picked up her phone and called her assistant. I need you to do 2 things for me. At your service, President Liu. My friend was in a car accident and is hospitalized. Find a reliable caregiver. Understood. And I want to see someone. Chapter 11. The person Alicia wanted to see was the man who robbed and killed me 3 years ago. Her assistant was quite resourceful. Early the next morning, she called Alicia back. President Liu, It's all arranged. The meeting is at 3 in the afternoon. You can go directly. All right. I followed Alicia to the meeting. She took out my photo and showed it to the murderer. Do you remember this person? Perhaps the part of our chat history and the transfer records when I was simping for Alicia left a deep impression on him, because he immediately nodded and said, yes, I remember. Can you tell me what happened then? The murderer chuckled, raising an eyebrow at her. Who are you? What's your relationship with him? He was my lover. Impossible. He was single at the time, the murderer said confidently. I even used his phone to chat with the person he was simping for. For half a year, I was that person. The murderer was stunned, staring at Alicia for a long moment. It really is you. I saw your photo in his phone. You didn't look this glamorous back then. Alicia pressed her lips together without saying anything, but I noticed that the hand she kept under the table had clenched into a fist. The man continued, I didn't expect you to be doing so well now. Did you ever thank him for his help? I saw it. He transferred a lot of money to you. What did he say at the end? I don't know. I was nervous at the time. Stabbed him many times. He probably didn't have the strength to speak. Alicia's fist tightened further, her nails nearly digging into her flesh. The man kept talking, as if telling a story, about everything he saw on my phone. I met Alicia when she was at her lowest point. From the day I confessed, I started transferring money to her. Every night, I would transfer 520 with a message, will you be with me today? At first, Alicia refused to accept it, but I insisted. If you like someone, you should spend money on them. Don't worry, I've marked each transfer as a voluntary gift, and it's a special number. Even if your business fails, I won't ask for it back. Later, when things got too difficult, Alicia started accepting the money I sent. She accepted every single one but never replied with a yes. I kept bouncing between thinking, she took my money, so she must have feelings for me and she just needs help and doesn't like me. Until the day I was murdered. After the murderer took my phone, he contacted Alicia but didn't send her any more money. Fortunately, by then, Alicia's career had taken off, and in the year that followed, it soared. So when my soul awoke, I saw her already successful, wearing designer suits, speaking confidently on stage. The struggles of the past were gone, replaced by an air of elegance and calm. I secretly felt relieved. If I hadn't died, the Alicia of today would surely despise me. Chapter 12. After leaving the police station, Alicia didn't return to the hospital. Luis called her, but she didn't answer. She went straight home. Then, she finally unlocked that phone, and I saw what was inside. The photo album was full of pictures of me. Some were photos I had sent her, some were ones she saved from my social media, and a few were ones she secretly took during the rare times we met. All her chat records with other people had been deleted, except for our conversations, which were all still there. After the murderer deleted her from my WeChat, she started reaching out to me. Where are you? Can we meet? There are some things I want to talk about in person. Can you ask that question you used to ask again? Today, I'm willing to be with you. I'll be willing tomorrow too. Have you really given up on me? You once said that if I got together with another man, you'd be angry. So why haven't you come to confront me after I've had so many boyfriends? Your mom came to see me. She said you've gone missing and that she can't reach you. Reply as soon as you see this. She must have been out of her mind. Every message she sent had a red exclamation mark. How could I see them? How could I reply? She also tried calling me many times, but of course, she could never get through. That number of mine was kept active because she and my parents kept topping up the account. Every time Alicia topped up the balance, she would ask on WeChat, still not ready to forgive me today. Just like how I used to ask her every night. It was persistent and hopeless. Chapter 13. That night, Alicia didn't sleep at all. She held that phone, sometimes sitting on the bed, sometimes in the living room, and finally on the floor by the window. Outside, the night was vast, the moonlight reflecting off the snow, casting a cold and lonely glow. Just like Alicia's mood at that moment, she was an orphan, growing up in an orphanage. She had a painful and dark childhood, bullied by other kids and abused by the director. For her, I was the only person who ever made her feel warmth and love, the one who suddenly appeared in her life and then just as suddenly disappeared. She would rather I stayed missing forever than know I had been murdered. With that last shred of hope shattered, it felt like her whole world had collapsed. Albert, I miss you so much, she murmured to the moon, not knowing that I was right beside her. I reached out, mimicking the gesture of pinching her cheek, tilting my head as I called her. Alicia. She couldn't hear anything. I could say whatever I wanted, with no restraint. Actually, during the time I've spent with you over the past year, I've never been happy. Watching you change boyfriends all the time. I thought you'd long forgotten me. If you liked me so much, why didn't you accept me sooner? If you had been braver back then, would our ending have been different? While I was talking to myself, Alicia suddenly got up and went outside. It had been snowing for the past 2 days, and the ground was covered in a thick layer. She built a snowman. When I floated closer to see it, I realized it looked a lot like me. Alicia then walked around to the back of the snowman and wrote 2 words on its back, true love. She then stood in front of the snowman, staring at it. It was so cold outside, and she wasn't even wearing a coat. I urged her, Alicia, go inside. She didn't move an inch. In the end, she even hugged the snowman. By tomorrow, when the sun comes out, the snowman will slowly melt away, eventually disappearing completely, just like how I completely disappeared from her world. Chapter 14. My parents quickly arranged the memorial service because they wanted to lay me to rest as soon as possible. Alicia went too, but she was stopped at the entrance by my childhood friend Elias. What are you doing here? Elias was furious. Get out. You don't deserve to be here to send Albert off on his last journey. I know. Alicia's voice was hoarse. She hadn't had a chance to say anything more when Elias cut her off with another tirade. Albert liked you so much. Even though you never responded to him, he was always sweet whenever he mentioned you. And what happened? He died on his way to see you. Oh, right. I almost forgot. Alicia still didn't know that when I died, I was not only transferring money to her but also on my way to see her, because the next day was her birthday, and she happened to be working late at the office that night. I thought I'd surprise her by celebrating her birthday. Of course, I also had a little ulterior motive. I wanted to be the first to wish her a happy birthday. I mentioned this to Elias before I left, so he always remembered. The murderer also mentioned it at the police station that day, but Alicia, lost in her emotions at the time, probably didn't hear it clearly. Now that she heard it, her expression was as if she'd been struck by lightning. Elias, still unsatisfied, continued to curse her. When Albert was alive, you didn't cherish him. Now that he's dead, you come to his last farewell. Who are you trying to disgust, Albert or his parents? Now get out. If I tell Albert's parents about this, they won't let you in to say goodbye to him. Elias's threat was effective. Alicia indeed didn't intend to go in any further. After all, this was my final journey in the world. If it became ugly because of her, she was afraid it would make me unhappy. Chapter 15. But Alicia didn't leave. She just stood at the entrance of the memorial service. The usually tall, strong, and confident businesswoman looked so thin and fragile standing there alone. My parents had dressed me in my favorite outfit from when I was alive, using it to replace my body. During the final farewell, my mom fainted from crying. I was also deeply saddened, watching so many people say goodbye to me. There were my relatives, my friends, and they were all crying. I turned to look at Alicia. She wasn't crying. Perhaps she had already let out all her emotions that night after coming back from the police station. So now she was particularly calm. She followed my parents to the hospital, where she ran into Elias again. Haven't you had enough? Albert's parents have suffered enough. They only had one son, and now he's gone because of you. Can't you stop showing up in front of them? Alicia said, I'm sorry, but I may be showing up in front of them quite often from now on. What did you say? I want to take care of them in Albert's place. Elias was taken aback, then immediately sneered. If Albert could visit you in a dream, he'd tell you to stay away from his parents. Even though they hadn't been in touch for the past 2 years, Elias had heard a lot about Alicia's behavior. He absolutely refused to believe that Alicia loved me too. Get out. If I see you again, I'll call the police. Alicia ignored his words and went straight to the hospital room where my parents were. Elias chased after her. Maybe in his haste, he accidentally let some words slip. When my mom heard the phrase, "You caused Albert's death," she sat up in shock. Despite her illness, what are you talking about? Elias quickly withdrew his hand that was pulling on Alicia and tried to cover it up. Nothing. I heard everything. My mom was agitated. What do you mean? Was Albert's death related to her? No, Auntie. Elias didn't know how to explain. In the end, it was Alicia who explained. She recounted all the good things I had done for her, pausing several times, taking deep breaths before continuing. But even after telling the whole story, I didn't hear a single word about her love for me. After hearing everything, my dad was furious and told Alicia to leave immediately. Alicia didn't leave, nor did she offer any more explanations. My mom, sitting on the bed, used the last of her strength to angrily berate her. I remember not long ago, when my mom went to see her, she was humble and cautious. How the tables have turned. Alicia, why don't you tell them you loved me too? Explain to them. Say that you wanted to wait until your business was successful to confess your feelings to me. Say it. She still couldn't hear me, but I felt that even if she could hear me, with her stubborn nature, she wouldn't have opened her mouth to explain. Chapter 16. Alicia started appearing frequently around my parents. For me, this was a good thing, as it allowed me to see my parents more often. But for Alicia, it wasn't so good, because my parents never treated her kindly again. If you really think about it, the murderer was the one truly at fault. Alicia couldn't have predicted that something would happen to me that night. It was an accident, and putting all the blame on her wasn't fair. But my parents were so heartbroken during that time. Holding on to their anger toward her helped them cope and gradually endure the pain. Time is the best medicine. It may not make the scars in our hearts disappear, but it can heal them. I watched as my parents went from breaking down every time they mentioned me to just having red eyes. Later on, my mom would unconsciously call my name, and when there was no response, she'd sigh at the empty air. I forgot. Albert is gone. One time, Alicia happened to be at my house. She was still outside when I floated into the room and witnessed this scene. I broke down right then and there, repeatedly saying I'm sorry in front of my mom, but she couldn't hear me. I wanted so much to tell her that, even though they didn't approve of me being with Alicia, I knew it was because they didn't want me to suffer. They raised me with such care. How could I not know that they loved me? Originally, I had planned that after celebrating Alicia's birthday that night, if she still didn't want to be with me, I would give up. I couldn't keep making my parents sad. Who would have thought that the turning point would be that very night? Mom, I'm sorry. You brought me into this world, yet I never had the chance to properly repay you. In what should have been your peaceful retirement years, you were instead consumed by tears. I crouched on the ground, crying uncontrollably. My dad opened the door and entered with Alicia. This was the first time since the memorial service that my dad had invited Alicia into the house. He said to Alicia, "Miss Lou, we've seen what you've done these past few days." Some of the things we said at the hospital were spoken in anger. Alicia replied, "I understand. I don't blame you." My dad nodded. "Then please don't come anymore. Seeing you reminds us of Albert, and those memories, they're too painful." Alicia's expression froze slightly, and the light in her eyes dimmed. My mom, standing nearby, sighed silently. The room was deathly quiet. After a long pause, Alicia bowed to my parents and said in a hoarse voice, "All right, I won't disturb you again. Please take care of yourselves." My parents didn't see her out. Strangely, after she left this time, I didn't follow. I stayed in place. Had I finally been unbound from Alicia? Could I stay with my parents from now on? That's wonderful. Chapter 17. After that, although Alicia didn't show up again, Elias went from visiting my house once a month to 4 or 5 times a month. By then, I could move freely, so I followed Elias. And then I discovered that he was secretly meeting with Alicia. "You need to stop asking me to deliver money. I'm running out of excuses. And besides, my parents know our situation well. If I keep delivering money, they'll start getting suspicious. When Albert was alive, you didn't cherish him. Now that he's dead, there's no need for this fake act. Let it end here." Alicia waited until he finished his rant before speaking softly. "I will always take care of them. After they pass away, I'll go join Albert." Once she was certain I was gone for good, she lived each day like a walking corpse. After the invisible barrier disappeared, I spent most of my time with my parents. Occasionally, I would go back to check on Alicia. There was a landline in her study, and once, someone accidentally called on her birthday. That voice sounded so much like mine. Even I was surprised. After realizing it was a wrong number, the young man on the other end quickly apologized. "I'm so sorry, Alicia said. "Can you say, 'Happy birthday,' to me?" "Huh? Today's my birthday." It was just a simple phrase, no cost involved, and since he had dialed the wrong number, he agreed, "Happy birthday, and may all your wishes come true." After he hung up, Alicia didn't put down the receiver. It was as if the dial tone was the sweetest sound in the world to her. Birthdays come every year, but "may all your wishes come true" would never happen again. I was like a beam of light that unexpectedly entered her world, brightened it, and then vanished just as suddenly. She wanted to hold on to that light, only to find that it was all in vain. She would live forever in the pain of losing me. Chapter 18. Before leaving this world completely, I visited my parents in their dreams. I told them that I was doing well in another world, and in the next life, I wanted to be their son again. Next time, I'd be obedient, listen to them, and never make them so sad again. Then I visited Alicia in her dream. "Alicia, I'm leaving." She held my hand, refusing to let go. "You've been gone for so long, and you've only come to see me twice. Isn't that a bit too little? I've actually been with you all along." Alicia paused, her eyes flickering as if she was a little embarrassed. I burst out laughing. "I know everything you're thinking. Don't you want me to know? I just think it's too late." "Yeah, you should have let me know sooner." "Are you still mad at me?" "Of course I am. How about in the next life, you become my simp?" "For how long?" "How should I know? It depends on my mood in the next life. 10 years, no more than that." "Okay. 10 years, that's a long time, but honestly, I don't plan on meeting her in the next life. This life was tragic enough, and my parents suffered because of me. I don't want to have anything to do with her anymore. I'm leaving." "Wait, Let me look at you one more time. Don't bother. I'll always be in your heart." Alicia smiled knowingly. "You're right." When she woke up, her pillow was wet. "Albert, I won't make you wait too long. You have to keep your word too." 3 days later, after arranging all her affairs, Alicia took her own life. She said she was coming to join me, but I had already completely disappeared after saying goodbye to her that day. In the next life, I'll have a beautiful, vibrant life of my own, where I'll never see her again.